Okay, so a new mainstream UFO documentary just came online. It's Tucker Carlson's The UFO Files. So here is my quick review of it. Oh, and by the way, please no politics in the comments below. I hope that you can refrain from getting political, because to me this is not a political issue at all. But this is a news anchor that has a passion for the subject. Love him or hate him, and he has been pursuing the UFO topic for years now, and has been one of the people that has pushed it into the mainstream. So without getting political at all, let's take a look at the documentary that he has put together. It's only a 30-minute piece, so it may or may not be the first episode in a series. I don't know. Oh, and before we get too far into it, please hit like, please subscribe, share it on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, let's get into it. This is a show that is on Fox Nation. I am not, or was not, a subscriber until today of Fox Nation, but I was very curious about this show because of Tucker Carlson's passion for the subject. So I chipped in 99 cents and got a month's subscription. Anyway, so I checked out the show. Like I said, just a 30-minute show, and it was a very well put together little piece. I really thought it was entertaining and engaging. Comparing it to the Showtime piece by J.J. Abrams, I would say that the J.J. Abrams piece is probably put together a little better. It was a longer show. Probably had a lot more money put into it because it was a feature-length show. But which one was better? Well, from my point of view as a researcher into the phenomenon, I am leaning more toward Tucker's The UFO Files, because I actually learned a few things from the show. And one of them was actually fairly significant. To start with, I learned Chad Underwood, who is the military pilot that chased the Tic Tac, and who got the footage of the Tic Tac. Commander Fravor is the one that engaged it in a pseudo dogfight, but he actually didn't capture any footage from it, at least that we have been able to see. But Chad Underwood is the pilot that captured that footage, and until recently, he has never spoken out. But recently, he did come forward, and now he is on this particular show talking about it. I didn't realize he was the one who had coined the term Tic Tac for this event, and that he would not have coined the term Tic Tac. He thought it actually looked more like a Tylenol pill. But apparently there's some old comedy making fun of a guy who saw a UFO that said it looked like a Tylenol pill. And he didn't want to, be just like that comedy and make a satire of it. So he said it looked more like a Tic Tac to avoid that comparison. I don't even know what movie that is from, but the fact that he wanted to avoid that is very interesting. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Mothman situation. People were describing it as more bat-like, but they didn't want to call it Batman because there was already a Batman, so they called it the Mothman. Not an exact analogy, but kind of interesting. Branding is important. So the takeaway from that is that the Tic Tac may not have actually looked like a Tic Tac. It was actually more like a Tylenol pill, which is very interesting and not something I had really heard before, even though I have seen videos and drawings of this thing. And, when I say video, I mean recreations, CGI recreations. And indeed, they do look more like a Tylenol pill. So that was something new. Also, they interviewed John Greenwald of the Black Vault, and I learned something that had escaped my attention. Maybe I had heard it and just forgotten it, like so much, I'm sure. But John was saying that he FOIAs these documents, and they come and they're all redacted, with lines all blacked out. And apparently there is a recourse for that. there is some sort of law or provision that allows somebody to request those blacked out portions. It's called the sunset provision or something like that. If you remember what it is, please let me know in the comments below. I forgot the name of it. But at any rate, you can request those blacked out portions. So John said, I want to see those blacked out portions. And he went through that process of requesting the redacted material for some UFO documents. It turns out all of those documents, every single one that he requested, mysteriously went missing. Now, those are some serious shenanigans. For the government to blatantly lie, blatantly and obviously lie, and blatantly and obviously hide these documents from a researcher like John Greenewald, who has an audience and is going to share what happened. That means they just don't care. They don't care how obvious they are. They are going to, hide as much UFO information as they can for some particular reason. They are hiding something significant, something specific. Is it the space fleet? Is it U.S. military involvement with the phenomenon? In other words, actually dealing with the beings themselves? Either way, it definitely sounds like some serious breakaway group stuff, and it shows the breakaway group's involvement in what I would call mainstream government. That is, they're not all 20 levels down in Area 51. Some of them are in the halls of the Pentagon, hiding information. Last but not least, Brandon Fugal, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, appeared on the show. And I was very surprised by this. It's a 30-minute piece on UFOs aimed at a very mainstream audience. And in 30 minutes, Tucker is already going for Skinwalker Ranch. I was really blown away by that. I think J.J. Abrams' entire feature never addressed Skinwalker Ranch once. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. If he did, it was very superficially. But Tucker goes there. In a 30-minute piece, he goes there, he interviews Brandon directly, and we actually get to hear Brandon Fugal curse. That's right, the Mormon owner of Skinwalker Ranch actually swears on camera, or at least on mic. So that was kind of funny. I'm easily amused, what can I say? The section on Skinwalker Ranch doesn't get into anything too funky. They don't go into shadow people or ghosts or giant undead wolves or any of the really nutty stuff that goes on at Skinwalker Ranch. They pretty much just go with cattle mutilations, which are, obviously fascinating in and of themselves. Why are thousands of cattle? Why have thousands of cattle been killed in very weird ways, bloodlessly, and yet all the blood is removed from the cows, as if that was part of the goal, sucking the blood or removing the blood. Obviously, that blood is being put to some use. I've discussed in another video what possible uses these cows are to the visitors, and I'll refrain from repeating myself here. So that's about it for this episode of the show. If it is an episode, I don't know if this is the first episode of a series. It's called the UFO Files, which, obviously that's multiple, so you might think that there's going to be more later down the line. Who knows, but it is a good little piece, 30-minute piece on the phenomenon. It does go into cattle mutilations and some a little bit of what I would call slightly outside of the mainstream stuff. But for the moment, for the majority of it, it is very down the center, mainstream, nuts and bolts sort of information on the phenomenon. Nothing too exciting, but I did learn a couple of things, and I was amused by Brandon Fugal swearing, and I was really impressed that they actually went to Skinwalker Ranch. They had Nick Pope show up, and he had a few interesting comments. Surprisingly, there was no mention of Lou Elizondo that I noticed. So they must be saving him for a future episode. If this was going to be the only episode, one would expect them to trot Lou out, since he is kind of the star of the show. He's the one that got all of this going and is the face of the modern disclosure movement, such as it is. So the fact that they didn't mention him makes me think that they are saving him for a later date, which would indicate there's going to be a second episode. So we'll see if that materializes. But on the whole, it was 99 cents well spent. I recommend it. I guess I would recommend it. I would recommend it over the J.J. Abrams feature length documentary, which was pretty boring. This one isn't that exciting either. Don't get your hopes up. But it is very exciting to see all of this stuff hitting the mainstream and for this topic becoming acceptable to talk about by mainstream reporters and filmmakers. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about the UFO files. Have you seen the show? What did you think? Comment below. Let me know. Please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe button, and if you do, the bell next to it to be notified of future videos. That would be awesome. I now have a Twitter profile and a Facebook page, so check those out. Those links are below. Also, if you want to support the channel and buy me a cup of coffee, that'd be awesome. There's a PayPal link below as well. Meanwhile, see you next time. Cosmic Road out.